Okay, adventurers. Well, as you may or may not have heard, I had some problems with the engine cutting out, which I can describe here. Hello, adventurers. Well, I don't know if you've had this problem, but I was riding along earlier tonight, and the bike just, the motor just died. Traction control light started flashing. Traction control failure. I turned the key off. I stopped, turned the key off, turned it back on, started up. Seems fine. Rode 30 meters up the road, died again. Then when I turn it off and then on again, it would start, and then as soon as I touched the throttle, it would stop. Eventually I turned it on and off a couple of times, and the engine light actually has stayed on and it runs. And I believe it's now in limp mode. So what happens is that it feels like about a 10 horsepower bike. Now I'll show you. So first gear, full throttle. Ready? Full throttle. Second, full throttle, that is. Third, full throttle. Fourth, full throttle. We're up to 80. Yeah, so it actually is accelerating, but it's just really gutless. It's actually better now than when it first happened. When it first happened, I couldn't get to 80. It did just full throttle and a bit of an incline, and I was back, 70, 60 kilometers per hour. But I've nearly done nearly 100 kilometers now in limp mode, because I was miles from home, and it seems to be like running that little bit better. That's on the stopper in fifth. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what's happening. I think it's a blocked fuel filter. I don't know what else it could be. I haven't been game to turn it off and back on again, because I don't want it to not start. I just need to it to get me home. I'm sort of disappointed but happy at the same time. I'm disappointed that my fuel filter is blocked again, but then I'm happy that the bike is actually running and allowing me to get home. I am so glad for limp mode, because before it went into limp mode, it was useless. As soon as I applied a bit of throttle to let the clutch out and move, it would stop. It's like it would produce 0 horsepower. I don't think I didn't actually try just sort of letting the clutch out and just idling along. Yeah, it wouldn't let me. But anyway, it's gone to limp mode, and now I can get home. So yeah, back to this. The problem turned out to be possibly the throttle linkage, which is on the right hand side of the bike, which is in behind. You can see there's a steel plate there. So this protects the throttle linkages to the butterflies from all the cabling and wiring. And hang on. So you can see here there's this steel bracket, and then on the inside is the throttle linkage. And if I move the throttle linkages, you can see this is the front butterfly valve being driven, and then this is at the back side. So this is the back butterfly valve. Now this is all driven by electronic servos, as we know, because the bike is fly-by-wire. But yeah, and this metal bracket, which I was showing before, sort of, it's in there, is the only thing protecting these moving linkages from anything interfering with it. Turns out that I had some wiring up in here, which is, it's all very, very small tolerances. There's not much room at all. But some of that wiring was actually touching the top, that piece that's just coming into view there, touching up in there. And we think that that's actually causing enough friction for the computer to say, ah, my throttle body is being obstructed, and it was cutting the motor out. And then it would go into limp mode, and I could ride it home, but not, well, just in limp mode, which is annoying. Anyway, that is difficult to identify, but if anyone else has the similar problem, I'm just advising that's the first thing you might want to check. See if there's anything obstructing those throttle bodies. So while I'm filming on the bike, maybe I should also point out, I don't know if I've recorded something on this before. So I've got the high front fender. You can get a bracket from, I think, is it Slavens? No, yeah, Slavens in America. They make a high fender bracket, pretty much the same as this, except shipping was an absolute killer to Australia. So I just made up my own. So basically, it's you see, I've got a couple of spaces in there to make everything just work nicely. It comes in 2 halves. Need more, 3 hands again. A bottom half and a top half, and then they bolt together with these pins. Yeah, so I've got that, and I've also got a bracket in the nose of this bike that basically mounts inside this plastic frame, and you've got a screw here and a screw down there. They're the 2 screws that hold the whole front end on, and now I've got a 3rd one here, and you can sort of see roughly where that is. You can see it's aligning closely with this. This is a screw that goes through and holds the 2 halves of this case together. So yeah, I've made up a bracket internally there. Few people have asked me for it. I've sent them PDFs of the brackets so that they could cut them out, have them machined, or just cut them out by hand and mount them themselves. So if that's something you would be interested in, yeah, feel free to take that PDF off me. Just email me at vlogonwheels@gmail.com, and yeah, send me send me an email, and I'll send you just asking for those plans if you're fabricated minded. And if you're going to make one more than just your own, if you want to make them, if you like the idea and you're going to make 1,000 of them and sell them or something, then please send me a commission. I invented it, but you know, I'm too lazy to get it into fabrication myself. Yeah, I like sharing the love, but you know, that doesn't mean I want someone profiting millions off my my invention that works bloody well. You know, this front end now is solid as a rock, and I know that my whole front end, the nose cone, was getting wobbly, especially on corrugated roads. You know, these plastic, these bits flog out on the plastic front end. It was getting wobbly, and now it's solid as a rock for the sake of, it was 300 grams worth of plate. I'm sure it could probably be streamlined a bit too, but it's not. It works. So yeah, and a few other people are having the same issues. So I know that it is a common thing. Yeah. Down here also I've got something special, but I'm about to make a whole separate video on that. Cheers! Hey y'all, quick one just because I am so happy with my invention. I invented this bracket in here, so don't know if you've seen in my videos, but this whole front end assembly is quite heavy and it moves up and down a bit because it's only held on with these 4 screws, and they're just through plastic onto a little spigot. And so what I've done now is made a bracket. I'll show a picture of it. I think I took some pictures. And that bracket hooks onto those spigots, and I need a torch in there. And then it comes through, it goes around the ignition system, and then there's 2 bolts down there. And that is basically it. This, the bracket at the top is actually resting on here. I'm thinking about just zip tying this. I was going to make a little connection between that join and this pin, but it's not even necessary. This thing now is so solid. Before it relied on those 4 things, and then I think it relied on all these plastic screws, relied on the fairings to hold that headlight assembly. But now that I've got the headlight, the driving lights, and now I've got a high mount guard all mounted off this front end, I was worried that it was too weak. But this bracket, bloody hell, it's strong as, and it's well, that bracket plus the bracket up in there to hold the mud guard, total 450 grams. So half a kilo. Maybe it's overkill, but I tell you what, this front end feels solid as a rock now. I'm happy.